Let me guess. Let me guess. Couldn't hear a word I was saying that whole time. Yeah. uh, great. Microphone was off. We're gonna continue like nothing happened. All right. So you might be wondering, and hello everyone, hello. Uh, why we're staring at a blank page. I just started and I was having some scuff time, so you didn't miss anything at all. Nothing. Other than me talking to myself without the microphone on. Um, Tonight is the beginning of game development journey for me. I plan to create at least a small game, we'll see, as a public release. It's my goal to get started somewhere, and this is going to be starting game number 1. What is that game? Well, who knows yet? That's why we're on a blank page. This is all there is, which is nothing. Nothing at all. Step 1 to creating a game is to figure out what game you want to make, which sounds maybe kind of simple, but honestly, you can make pretty much anything. And as a solo game dev, or the only person that will be working on this, I have to be very careful of the scope of work. I mean, there's been some games, like Stardew Valley, for instance, that started out as a solo game dev project, and it took him 4 years to release the initial version of the game. And while I could do that, I have to make sure that whatever I choose to create is something that I will be able to put my heart into for that long. And we'll see. We'll see. It's also very important that I am interested in what I'm making, because the whole point is that it's a passion project for me. If I don't like what I'm making, even from the very get-go, then I don't see much point in making it. So for instance, I'm not a big fan of first-person shooter games for the most part, so I probably won't make a first-person shooter. I am interested in, let me start typing here, get some bullet points out. This will be genres that I'm interested in. I'll just say that this is going to be me talking through my decision-making process. Feel free to chime in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah. Oh, you watched my debut. Thank you, Sidco. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been Scuff this whole time, and I will continue to be Scuff. Yeah, we have a whole backstory going, and we'll do some animated lore videos in the upcoming months. They just take a while to animate. Thank you, thank you. I still haven't fixed my model, by the way. I have a very lovely, messed up skirt and my feet detach. But for now, I'm just worried about the upper body being functional, and I'll worry about the full body later. Yeah. So, genres that I'm interested in, and I'll say this more like gameplay genre than like romantic versus action genres. So I'm gonna say I'm very interested in RPGs, role playing games. I'm very interested in farming simulations. I'm interested in adventure games. I guess I don't need the games, it's kind of. And I'm interested in puzzles. I like puzzle games. I don't know about you, but I tend to play a lot of Sudoku and Wordle and I don't know the name of the one where it's a grid and you have to guess, like it gives you certain numbers and you have to guess what item gets filled in. It'll be like 112 and then on this side it'll say like 3, and then that means that there'll be 3 X's in a row, and you'll have to make sure to set that up. And this one would have like an X here because it was a 2. I don't know what you call that. I'm not sure what type of puzzle, but I've done a lot of them. There's a Vocaloid one that I did a bunch of. That type of puzzle game. I'm not sure what type of puzzles are copyrighted, or if someone has ownership of certain puzzles. Like, I'm pretty sure just about anyone could make a Sudoku puzzle. I don't think that's copyrighted at all. But I don't know about that cross one, technically. I think I've seen a couple of brands, but that doesn't mean they're not purchasing rights from somewhere. What other type of games do I like? I think that's about it. I like the occasional dating sim, and I like oh, these are my favorites. If I like anything else, I'm not sure right now. Let's see. From that, oh gosh. So MMORPGs, they take usually millions of dollars and full-scale teams to create. The example, well, it depends. If you're talking like the Final Fantasy Online or World of Warcraft, entire companies have to work on those. If it's just a network connection to, say, a fighting game, something like Fall Guys or Party Animals, maybe a smaller game company could handle that. It's just a instanced server for each match. Still a little bit big for an indie game dev, but getting closer. I think there was a stick figure fighting game that was an indie game dev project. So you mean like Stardew Valley where you can join someone's server? Ah. Mm-hmm. So, yes and no. I'm familiar with networking to some degree. Depending on how intense it got, maybe I could do it. Um, an MMO, no, where it's like massive multiplayer and you have like hundreds of thousands on the same server, that's too much for me to set up alone. But when it's maybe a handful of people, I could probably do it. I have done it before just for fun. So, yes, it's an option. It just depends, like I said, how how big of a game and how much of a time commitment I end up deciding on. So it's out there. I'm not taking it off the table yet. I'm just saying that that one would be it'd be a 4-year time commitment instead of maybe a 1-year time commitment. It's definitely going to be a PC game. I would design it for either itch.io or a Steam release. I know Steam does Steam Deck, and technically, the way I program is usually easily compatible with PlayStations, I believe. Oh no, sorry, not PlayStations, Xboxes. So I could release to Xbox easily enough because they're both Windows, right? So if I design a game compatible with a Windows computer, then it should be, with at least minimal tweaking, compatible with an Xbox. um, I do not own an Apple computer, so I cannot develop for Apple devices. So it's definitely not going to be something that ends up on the iTunes App Store. Um, Apple is very protective of their development software and their development kits, to the point that you have to have a MacBook or Mac computer in order to develop and produce games for Mac. So we'll see. I might be able to do some tweaking, like an initial release for PC, and then if it's successful, do some tweaking to get it releasable to, for instance, the Switch, or PlayStation, I believe. But that still doesn't account for iTunes. That would be a whole different thing. Mhm. Nintendo, as a company, doesn't allow anyone to freely develop for their system, uh, or at least freely release. They have an approval that you have to go through in order to release a game on their console. Um, I think they're the only one that does. That's why a lot of random games come out on PlayStation or Xbox. And then maybe a year or two later, if a game's been successful, you'll see a Switch release. A good example would be Hades, that first came out on Steam and then got general console ports, and then only more recently got the Switch port. Yep. Uh, and that would be great. If I get to the point that I could release to Nintendo and the Switch, that would be awesome. Oh, just to throw it out there, I do have a chance to develop a VR game as well. I've got the development set up for, well, I currently have a Quest 2. They just came out with a Meta Quest 3, uh, which I don't have yet. But I could develop for the Quest 2. Thank you, thank you. So let me throw that in there. So these are genres I'm interested in. Here are my main platforms to release to. I'm most interested in the Quest and releasing to Steam right now. These are the easiest two. And then I'll put a with more effort, I can do PlayStation, Xbox, and then with lots more effort, Nintendo. and technically itch.io. If you're not familiar with itch.io, it is a website that a lot of indie developers use to release their games. They tend to be smaller games on itch.io, so if we did like a puzzle game or something, this would be the main one to aim for. Okay. Um. Oh, and then I guess I can include uh not an option. Can't do Apple. I would have to buy a lot of equipment, and I am not aiming to do that right now. I have lots of fairly professional equipment already that I've dropped a good couple $100 into, and if you add it all together, probably a couple thousand at this point. I'm not aiming to do another 1,000 just to port to Apple. So, no. All right. That would leave us with time to complete. And we could do, as my first game, I'm going to give myself a lot of extra time, even if it's a very small one, to be able to work through anything, honestly. I've made game jam games where you make a game in a weekend before, or like school project games, because I have schooling for game design and development. But that doesn't mean I'd be able to sit down and program without issue. I definitely have to look at a lot of tutorials, and I'll hit, I don't know, some random issue that I'll be like, I don't even know where to start. And that takes time. I know for, I don't know, just anything. I've spent 72 hours before trying to fix one gosh dang bug, and you'll see me get so mad. I'll be like, well, I don't know. I'll just be ranting and raving like, oh, gosh dang it, I've spent 48 hours looking through all the forums. It's not a matter of being unable, it's just working through the emotions of being stuck on one. It'll be like a semicolon. I'll be like, oh, I forgot the regular colon right here when I have it down here, and I won't notice it or something. And maybe the coding software is supposed to alert you of simple misses like this, but sometimes it doesn't. And you know, it can just get frustrating. And then there's really random stuff. So I was saying that I work with, for fun, some VR extensions, or I used to be really big into Miku Miku Dance, for instance, and I had an Xbox Connect, which could read your body motions, right? And I managed to connect my Kinect to my PC and get it all sorted in with Miku Miku Dance, and that sounds fun, right? Well, it turns out that by the time I did that, there was a newer version of the Kinect, so that some of the third party, like open source, I got it code from someone else code that I was working with, was for specifically the new version of the Kinect and not the old version Kinect that I had. And versioning issues like that, they are not always um, readily apparent. You can't tell that it's the issue right off the bat, and it can take a lot of troubleshooting and a lot of time just to figure that out. And so, uh, even if I pick a small game, I'm going to say the shortest amount of time is going to be 6 months just because as my first professional release, I want to give myself time to struggle, honestly. There's gonna be struggle, I guarantee it, and that's fine. I expect it. Even with struggle, it can be fun. Uh, but 6 months. And then moving up the chain, I think 6 months is more than enough time to kind of struggle through basic gameplay mechanics for simpler games. So I'm going to do 1 year for, let's see, we'll say this is for simple puzzle games, and 1 year for simple or short, like RPGs, for instance. This would be something like a visual novel almost, where you could run around, maybe a point and click adventure. Uh, yeah, nothing too crazy. This isn't Final Fantasy in a year. No, this is not Tales of Symphonia even. Uh, maybe, maybe I could do something like Banjo-Kazooie at this point in a year, because it barely has any talking, and for the most part, it's get the basic movement mechanics down, and then create levels. And I mean, they had a whole team just to make that. So maybe like a short Banjo-Kazooie. Let's see. Yeah, rushing, lots of bugs. And I am more than willing with my own personal project to add time if I need to. So let's say I started on this puzzle game and I'm just running into bug after bug. Yeah, I would add time. I'd say, oh, well, it's not going to be 6 months. It's going to be, well, a little at a time, maybe 7 months instead. So the style of the game, pixel, 2D, 3D, etc., is going to depend on what I choose to do for sure. I have a couple of software game engines, aka the software I use to make the game in, options. I have an old version of Game Maker, which I know sounds funny, but they're great for 2D games for sure. Let's see real quick. Games made with Game Maker. Oh, here's the big one. Undertale. Undertale was made in Game Maker. It's great for 2D games, and that can be 2D RPGs, 2D platformers, 2D in general, honestly. Let's see. Hyper Light Drifter, that was a popular one that was made using Game Maker. And a lot of mini games are made using it, I know that. Of course, Deltarune, which is the sequel to Undertale, made in Game Maker. I also have access to RPG Maker Ace, or VX Ace, which makes like really old style Final Fantasy game looking games. So 2D pixel sprites with turn-based battle, pretty much. Popular games made with that aren't necessarily RPGs. If you've ever heard of Witch's House or Ib, they were very popular short horror games a couple of years ago. Played Deltarune on your Switch. I haven't played Deltarune yet. I look forward to it one of these days. While I could do pretty much any art style I wanted in Game Maker, as long as it's 2D, RPG Maker pretty much guarantees you have to use pixel art. Let's see. I also have access to using a program called Unity, which I don't know how much you're interested in game development, but they had a lot of controversy recently. which didn't really affect me too much, I guess. But I do have to be careful and conscious of it. They tried to raise prices for using the software and things like that, and they were retroactively changing the contract essentially for previous versions of Unity, which is very sketchy. Yeah, so you heard about it. Mm-hmm. For larger games that could, especially retroactively applied, could have cost them millions of dollars. Not good. Not good. um, and so I do have Unity, and that one supports both 2D and 3D. And that brings us to, do I do a 2D or a 3D game? Honestly, unless I choose the quest, the game I create will be in 2D. There's no reason for me to push that hard to make 3D models and everything. Even if they're low poly models, if I'm just making a small game, or even if it's not technically a small game, I don't know how to phrase it. The only game console that really requires the 3D element is the VR Quest 2, and then eventually Quest 3, right? And so that one pretty much has to be in 3D. The rest, I'm gonna keep it easy. I can very quickly produce 2D grass or something, pixel art grass, especially compared to making 3D models. I have some 3D experience. It's okay. I can definitely do low poly models, and I'm pretty good at environment objects. Um, I can do buildings, trees, a car. But when it comes to 3D modeling like characters, not great. I would probably have to hire a third party to make me some character models, honestly, if I did the 3D route. Nizzy says, monster dating sim. I mean, that brings me around to the fact that I could make a Noir Star game with our characters. It's something I could do. But we're not quite to the brainstorming part just yet. I'm just going through the setup and what the options are. Yes. So, um, from here, we've got the 1 year, which would be a small game using something like Game Maker or RPG Maker that does a lot of the writing for me, and that would be 1 year. And then we have something that would be like a 4 year game, which would be pretty much everything else. And so I'm not sure how Nizzy's doing exactly, but Umi's definitely still recovering. She's been streaming now. She's doing better, but I'm doing fine. Oh yeah, I talk about this sort of stuff all the time. I am determined to actually start for once, or maybe twice, or maybe even technically 3 times. I've definitely tried before. I've never had something that keeps me on track, and I have had a lot of things that have gotten in my way before, just like life stuff. So, uh, this time I'm doing okay. I'm going to do it. And doing it kind of like this, where there's people to talk to about it instead of kind of in my own bubble. It should help keep me focused, and it should help me keep me motivated and accountable for my actions. Thanks, Senko. If you see that I haven't made any progress in like a while, harass me. Be like, what you doing? Huh? What you doing? Nizzy too. Just harass me. I'm ready for it. Yeah. I might need it. uh, I mean, don't be mean to me. Don't be like, you suck. How dare you? And to be like, hey, hey, what you doing? I see you haven't been working. I appreciate it. Keep me accountable, please. Thanks. uh, well, that brings us back around to time to complete. Um, since I have not successfully made something before, I would suggest to all of us that I choose one of the first two options. My dream games to make probably fall into the 4-year category. And maybe we can do that next year. Thank you, thank you. Also, Nizzy, I don't know why you've got all these, like, tentacle arms going around. Stop it. Alright. So, just from what I'm saying here, I think I'll take 4 years off the table. Once I have successfully published something, I can make a bigger something later. This is like a squid. You're supposed to be a spider, Nizzy. Where's all the spider arms? Alright. So, now comes the fun part, now that we've gone through kind of the general options. Had no spider arms. So your spider legs have become just tentacles? That's sus. Very sus. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete the things that aren't really options right now, which Nintendo and Apple are probably out. Xbox kind of comes with the territory. If I can post to Steam, I can probably post to Xbox. PlayStation, depends. Alright. So, now we determine what's the game? So, maybe we could do just instead of a lore video for our characters, I just make us a lore game. You'll just play as me, and you run around in 3 different well, technically 2 different levels. Well, we could have Mizu still be a boss. And then you fight Nizzy, and then you fight Umi, and then you fight Mizu. I don't know why we'd fight Mizu exactly, but we could. Maybe she won't accept them as prisoners until you show you're powerful? I don't know. A survival game where you need to build a base and need to get resources to upgrade the base with skill levels and prestiges. I think that's Minecraft. Nizzy will be the cave boss. A platforming game where you deliver mail. That's a cute one. Let me go ahead and... let's see. I mean, technically, instead of a fighting game, I could use the same thing where it's a little bit of an RPG, like it has a storyline to it. But it's actually a puzzle game. Kind of like, I don't know, like Tetris or something. I know Tetris is definitely a copyrighted game. You have to have like adjustments to it. But you know, you have like the two-player puzzle game where one side you have to be super good to beat the other sort of thing. I don't know. It's an option. Uh, we could do a game where you kiss the VTubers. I only have technically the rights over my VTuber, and then I could maybe get the permission of the rest of Noir Star for that. But that would be it. That would be the extent of the VTubers being kissed. And I don't think I like that. No, thank you. um, if we did a dating sim style game, though, I think the easiest option would be to do some sort of visual novel, almost. Especially since I have access to and the ability to make live 2D models, I could do some, just a handful of either kind of chibi easy models or one or two very nice models, and then do that. Coffee Cafe Simulator. That's a game you'd make, Nizzy, for sure. You like coffee. I don't. I mean, I guess it could be cute to have like a little cafe game. Let's see. Hold on, I have to write down. Dating sim visual novel with live 2D models. Sure. That'd be like one of those run around, food preparing games, probably, right? Run a ramen, if I can spell ramen, shop game. What type of game is that? That's not really a puzzle game. It's more like a... I don't know, I'm blanking. What type of game is that? We're building the ramen. Oh, build a ramen shop. I like that. And then we can bring that back around to Senko's survival game where you need to get to build something and get levels and prestige. So this is a build a ramen shop adventure game. I think that would be very similar to the build your own bathhouse game that's being worked on right now. Gosh, if I could remember anyone's name. There's an indie game developer creating a Ghibli-esque build your own bathhouse and save it from decay game. And essentially it's haunted with a bunch of spirits. like I said, Ghibli, so think Spirited Away bathhouse. And yeah, this would be something similar. And then you could run around and make your own ramen shop. Oh, I think maybe the creator of Hatoful Boyfriend, like that pigeon dating sim from a couple years ago, is making a build your own ramen shop, and they're using VR and like these cool 3D manga panel things. Hmm. Anyway, it doesn't really matter if we match the premise of another game. Pretty much anything I make will have my own flair to it, so I mean, if any game could only be made with the same premise once, there wouldn't be nearly so many games out there. Oh, build the ramen is in make the ramen, not the shop. Yeah, that would be run a ramen shop. Or anything you'd rather it be. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a ramen shop. This is a build an XYZ shop, right? So I could do, oh, let's make a fashion boutique, or run your own grocery store, or uh, run your own apothecary. Oh, it doesn't really matter. Lots of games do this. Things like Moonlighter, I think, and never mind. Moonlighter's one. Papers, Please type game with the gods and entry into the heaven gates. You play as Hades, giving entry. That'd be kind of cool. I like that. I like that. Okay. Uh, let's see. A delivery shop. Uh, yeah, that could be a fun little mini game, type game, I suppose. You get given something, you gotta have a certain time limit to deliver it to wherever. Oh, I saw an indie game like that one too recently, where they were basing it on Kiki's Delivery Service, essentially, and it was a 3D I don't know if it was platformer, but 3D adventure game, and you're a little witch on your little broom, and then you gotta take the little package places. I was thinking more mini game though. Ah, bye, Nizzy. Let's see. Um, Personally, I'm really interested in mythical monsters, lore type items. So I really like the idea of like this paper, please, but Hades. I also really like the idea of um, maybe run your own like kindergarten, but it's a kindergarten for monster babies or spirits or something. Like Mama Monster or Mama Dragon's got to go off to burn down a village. You watch my baby dragon, sort of thing. You can put all sorts of little Easter eggs in that. Yeah, or you could do it like Nintendogs, maybe, where you could just pet the baby monsters. Yeah. Let's see. You could do it like Spore, where you have uh make your own spirit, and then you have to haunt things using that spirit. So instead of like surviving in the wilderness, you gotta go into a town and be like, ooga booga booga. I think Spore is something that would be too hard for me to code, honestly. But I'll write it down. I'll write it down. Maybe you could start out like a tiny little soot sprite, like from the Ghibli movies, and then the more things you manage to scare, you could uh, gain power and size up until eventually you become Godzilla. um, Let me write that down so I can remember it later. If that's the case, maybe I wouldn't have to make it like create your own spirit. Maybe I could do a set hierarchy of power. More like how something like Katamari sizes up, where the bigger your little Katamari ball is, the more things you can pick up till eventually you can pick up people and then trees and then buildings and then continents. Um, Something like that, maybe. Uh, let's see. Well, if I wanted to keep it simple, I could just do um a Noir Star like puzzle piece game. Use the fact that I'm making some banner artwork and such and already doing a lot of artwork for Noir Star to my advantage. And then I just turn them into coded puzzles that you put together. Done and done. Two birds, one stone. uh, let's see. Ooh, I could do a rhythm game. I like rhythm games. I'd probably keep the Noir Star theme for this one too. Um, the only issue I have with this is of all my many talents, music isn't necessarily one of them. I would probably have to go find and hire someone to make a couple songs for me. Or just use some, like, purchasable music or something that already exists for it. Which is not as cool as it could be. But might still be fun. Hmm. I could make that like Muse Dash or something where you have the little I don't know, your character just runs down a rail essentially and then the notes come at you but they're in the form of monsters or bosses or something and it tells the story depending on how those monsters come at you. It's possible. Uh I haven't done anything with the farming sim stuff yet. So maybe I could do the world of Noir Star, but you can create your own monster to run around, so you don't have to be necessarily one of us. Maybe our characters could be NPCs in the world that you could come visit, and then your character could run around, I guess. Uh, and you could even level up the world that way, I guess. Help us protect and gain power to face the lurking evil in the center of Noir Star. This one would allow for that multiplayer aspect too, if I did it the way that Stardew Valley does it. And then you can farm together with friends. Um, but this one is one of those 4-year commitment ones for sure. And I know I crossed 4 years off. So we'll just kind of free us from being stuck. Oh yeah, oh help me, Senko. I've been trapped in Noir Star and you need to farm 1,000 tomatoes in order to free me. uh, I do like that. Thank you, Senko. You're my hero. Give me the seeds. Well, I only have 4 for you. You'll have to make the money to get the rest on your own. This one would be kind of the dream game, I guess. I absolutely love and adore Rune Factory and Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley. Making a farming sim game, even if it took 4 years, this is kind of like the dream game. A farm sim adventure game specifically. Like a farm RPG. And of course, you always have to have the dateable characters in here somewhere. I didn't buy 200 potatoes in Stardew Valley on accident. Yeah. Honestly, if I was gonna choose to make one, and have it be like the one I'm most interested in, it would be something like this. But that would be the largest time commitment. And so I just want to go through the options and see if there's anything else that I could be excited about for a shorter amount of time first. Instead of just jumping in. Because I would just jump into this. And then find out a year in that, we'll see, we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and cross this one off. I think my lack of... I want to be able to make this game myself for the most part. And I think my general lack of rhythm is gonna prevent me from making it a rhythm game. Let's see. Where's the cross it out format? Tools. I don't know how to cross things out. Clear formatting. I don't know how to cross things out in Google, apparently. Alright, we'll just change the color. Oh, do a red X there, yeah. That'd be good. Let's go like that. Great. Okay. I'm gonna put a star right here. Let me go copy a star from somewhere. Hold on. This would be my favorite. And then I'm just gonna... I think this is a fine list. I'm just gonna start crossing out things I'm not interested in. I know, I showed the browser. Whoops. um, I'm not super interested in fighting games, so we're gonna go ahead and cross that one off. This was like the Tetris-y one, so let me write Tetris here. And depending on the puzzle, this one is interesting, so I'll keep it a little longer. Um, a dating sim visual novel. Um, Let me grab a different emoji. This was the fan favorite as far as I can tell, at least from Nizzy's and Umi's point of view. That's 2 votes for it. Let's do a check mark. How about you, Senko? Do you have a fan favorite? I can put a check mark next to it. Oh, and probably a dog. Fan favorites? I just want to kiss the cuties. Dating sim, yeah. That's 3 votes for this one right here. Umi, I already counted your vote. I knew what it was gonna be. I voted for you. Delivering mail platform game. And the one I'm marked with a star. Alright. Go ahead and put a check there. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and remove Monster Nursery. That one would take a lot of work. And I am not that interested. This one would take a ton of work, and I'm not that interested. This is one of my favorites, I suppose. As far as a quick, I put quick in quotes, quick game goes, especially because I'm already doing a lot of artwork. And if maybe Nizzy or Umi or Mizu wanted, they could contribute to this, and then I could make puzzle pieces of their artworks, and it could be a whole thing. And you know, there's a lot of people have made this before, so there'd be a lot of tutorials or kind of walkthroughs or people talking about making one that would make this a lot easier to make. So this would be one of the easy ones. I love this. I love this Papers, Please one. I think this will be on a back burner. I'm just gonna put this one in orange and an X in front of it. This is a... I'll do this one later, maybe. I like this one a lot. Aw, Umi. Yeah, I know you're down for the count. Hang in there. Thanks for checking in. Alright. This one sounds like it would be easy. And technically, the coding for it would be alright, but getting it to be actually interesting would be difficult. A lot of people have done this, and it's one of those very hit or miss type games where it's either very addicting and you get super into it and you get all the um, uh, achievements and advancements just right that it feels great to play, or it's garbage. And so I'm just going to go ahead and say I'll put this one as a no. Well, if this was an adventure game, maybe it could be more fun. But as far as just running a shop goes, no. Which is gonna knock this one out too. But there are so many mini games for this. Maybe if I made it like the multiplayer, what's the one where you run around together and it's just absolute chaos and you'll be like in lava or on a hot air balloon? Uh, Overcooked? Overcooked. No, not Hades. Talked about like cooking games, running a shop. Overcooked is kind of like this, I guess. Played Up. Yeah, that one would be too. And then there's a whole bunch of like Cooking Mama or I don't know, you make a pizza and sell the pizza mini games too that do this. And not for me, not for me. Umi's like, I love Cooking Mama. And it's a good game. I don't want to make it right now. I don't know if you can hear that crinkling. Hold on just a second. My cat's getting into something. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for waiting. Alright. So a platforming game where you deliver mail. Oh, I think I got Senko's vote wrong. I think we have mail delivery on here twice. So let me just go ahead and remove that one. Okay. I like your reference. And then lore RPG puzzle. Compared to these others, I'm not as interested, so I'm just gonna mark this one off. My cat's up to no good in the background. I had to poke her again. Alright. So, here we go. We got quite a couple votes, and then my favorite. Now, as I said earlier, I think it'd be best for me to avoid the 4-year game. So even though this is my absolute favorite, I'm going to put it in orange, and it'll hurt my soul just a little bit. But it's for the best if I start with something smaller than a whole thing. The DVD player has a volume setting. Surprise! I didn't know that either. So, out of the 3 remaining, we have what I consider the easiest, but maybe not the most fun necessarily. It's literally just puzzles. Like not even like Sudoku puzzles, just puzzle piece puzzles. A platforming game where you deliver mail, which could be cute. It could. And a dating sim visual novel using live 2D models. Let's see. I think this was my check mark. So since I might still do this one in the future once we amass a bunch of artwork. So this one I'm going to turn orange, but for now, I guess I'm not super interested in sitting down and drawing all of this right away to make a game. So maybe after this game that I'm making, but before the super big one, I could do a puzzle game. Which leaves us with a platforming game where you deliver mail, and a dating sim visual novel with live 2D models. Now, this is where I could say I could make the main game mechanic of the dating sim be delivering mail, and it could be a whole thing about being Cupid or something, I don't know. Or, just Hermes. And then the dating sim becomes a platforming game where you deliver mail. Yeah, delivering love letters, sure. There's an anime that does this really well, I think, that does just delivering mail be very romantic, essentially, and that would be Violet Evergarden, if you've seen it. She's not falling in love with anyone, really, but she certainly delivers letters and interacts with the people that are sending and receiving the letters in such a way that it is very romanticized, and that could be fun. And if I did it in a cutesy way, essentially, I could make it a visual novel on the top of your watching list. As in you're watching it, or it's your next up. Next up. I recommend Violet Evergarden. It has at least one problematic episode. You'll have to forgive it that, I think. But otherwise, it's pretty good. And it's very pretty. It's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think I actually do like the idea of keeping the premise as delivering mail. This would take out more or less the visual novel aspect here and make it more like an RPG, I suppose, with visual novel elements. Usually a visual novel specifically has, sorry, herpaderp, a visual novel tends to not have too many actual gameplay elements, and most of the gameplay is just timing who you talk to when you talk to them correctly to get the anticipated outcome, or answering certain character questions a certain way in order to gain their affections. So if we took out the visual novel part, we could do the winning game concept as a combo of a platforming adventure game, essentially, delivering mail, and has dating sim aspects using live 2D models. And this would essentially look like maybe a 2D pixel art game where you're jumping around and talking to everyone. And then when, maybe not necessarily pixel art, but pixel art is easy, so probably pixel art. And then when you clear the adventure level, the platforming level, you can deliver your mail, and then you get, I don't know, love points. The more mail you deliver correctly to the correct person, you get hearts for them or something. And if you talk to them, they have nice looking live 2D models that come up and talk to you, and they'll be like, "Oh, hi, what's up?" Yeah, they can be really pretty. Definitely depends on how the pixel art's done, but they can be pretty. Um, so I think I like this. It's definitely not a 6 month project. It's closer to a 1 year project for sure. Um, and the Live 2D models might be more simplistic than my current model. Just so that I don't, just so I don't spend a whole year just making the models, right? And I think, I think I like this one. Oh, thank you. I will definitely try to make it pretty, even with slightly more simplistic models. I don't want them to be ugly. That's for sure. This very depressing music plays in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear my music too well. I turned it way down. But let me just skip this song, followed up by depressing music. That's what I'll do. Yeah, okay. I think I have it, so you should be able to hear it somewhat. um, I was like, yeah, I chose a game. And it's like, my sister has died, and I am barely getting through, sort of thing, playing in the background. Oh no. Whoops. All right. Um, super aggressive, huh? Uh, sure. Let's see. I could do that. this this song was used as a kind of theme song for a movie called Ghost Ship. And if you try to look it up and you haven't seen Ghost Ship, you it's hard to find, but there's a music video, and essentially everyone on board this cruise ship gets brutally. They just die in a horrific way. Definitely not for younger audiences, just FYI. Let me go back to my playlist. We don't quite need it. This is brutal right now. I'm not saying that, Senko. I'm just saying, I watched Ghost Ship for the first time when I was, I don't know, maybe in middle school. And I should not have been watching it, that's for sure. uh, Lots of blood and gore in that movie. Alright, so winning game concept. It's gonna hopefully come out to 1 year. Let's go ahead and turn this green and turn both of these green. Don't know if I'm clicking the same green exactly. Great. And turn these red just for my future reference. Definitely was not the same red as I used on the others. This style of game. Gonna rule out the quest. And just because I'm aiming for something easy for the first time, we're going to rule out the ones that'll take more effort. If we'd chosen a puzzle game, I think itch.io would be good. But I think I'm going to aim for Steam on the computer, like PC. Let's see. I've scrolled in the chat. I lost where I'm at. My first anime I watched on purpose was when you were 12, and it was Elfen Lied. Oh, yeah. Same. Pretty much. I mean, that was definitely not my first anime, but I definitely saw it when I was about 12, yeah. Not for kids. Not for kids. I think we ended up with dating sim being true, adventure being true, probably has some minor RPG aspects. We are not farming. And we're gonna put up here in green that it is a platformer. And then I forgot to turn the screen. Alright. Success! I love the intro and have it in my playlist. Lore not adding up to what you just said. Just because it's not for kids doesn't mean kids don't watch. Oh gosh. No? That I watched it when I was 12? Uh, according to lore? Ah. I see what you did there. I mean, I was already ancient. And, yeah, I've been watching anime since anime became a thing in the 50s. Yeah. And then in the 60s, they released Astro Boy, and I've been watching Astro Boy. Yeah, totally. Totally. As the god of messages, I've delivered many messages to parents that their children should not be watching such things. Caught me slipping, Sinko. Caught me slipping. That's me slipping? No. not at all. It's the old age. It messes with you for sure. All right. uh so I think this concludes pretty much the work that needed to be done today, which, as you can see, it's already been an hour and a half. I think that's probably a good stopping point. And then over the course of the next week, I will kind of start sketching out some general concept art. Not necessarily all on stream. I'll just show up and show off some concept art. And once I'm happy with the concept in full, then I will start coding on Thursdays. I mean, I'll do some coding off screen, of course, as well. But I'll code with everyone on Thursday, and we'll see. We'll do weekly check-ins to see how it's going. Mm-hmm. In my debut stream, I didn't even have my model. I had technical difficulties with it. Picture everything that I look like right now. But the every single piece of my model is technically a different, like, chunk. So let me get real close here. For instance, my neck has 3 different layers, and my face, my eyes have the whites of my eyes. There's actually a second hidden layer. There we go. That's currently broken. You can see it kind of scuff right there. For the dark eyes, and then the cold pupil overlay, and then I've got some dead pupils that are working. That's another layer. Even the shadow on the whites of the eye there, that's another layer. The eyelashes are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers for the eyelashes. And they're all technically different sections and pieces that all kind of get glued together, and they look like they're one piece, but they're not. And the day of my debut, I had resaved my model, and the texture atlas got messed up. And the texture atlas is the PNG file that tells each mesh, because each of these ends up being a mesh, what it's supposed to look like. And so I was missing pieces of my model, like, let's say the top eyelash just wouldn't be there, or my nose would be gone. And then other people's pieces got overlaid with a picture that shouldn't be there. So for instance, let's say my wing up here on my head, it would actually look like my shoulder armor, and that was unacceptable. Unacceptable. Let's see, let's see. Sorry, I was talking a little too much. Let me check the chat. Sorry, Senko. Two a.m., yeah. Yeah, crazy indeed. And so that's why things like this I just haven't gotten around to fixing yet. And so it kind of wobbles funky, or you'll see kind of my hand isn't fully glued in place. Oh, and you can actually see a small atlas texture issue hanging off my arm right there still that I didn't fix. I really just was like, I'll just fix the upper body. I'll worry about the rest later. I'm working on it. I'll have a much nicer full body model later. I've also got this foot that goes like this. It's not supposed to do that. All right, I think we'll call it here. Thank you for coming and helping out. It was fun. And yeah, good job, everyone. Good job. This is some of the fun part where you get to like think up all sorts of ideas, and yeah, the hard part comes next. All right. Thank you. Thank you for interacting and talking, and it was fun. Good night.